Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Travel Masses. This is our live show coming from you from Toronto. Good to have you with us. We are talking lead generation today and getting that all-important conversions. We've got several chats going on today on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, the Travel Massive website. It's great seeing everyone watching us from around the world. Ping us down below. Let us know where you're watching us from. So today, as I mentioned, we're talking lead generation, particularly if you're just starting your business or launching a new product. So this is going to be really great for you. Maybe you sell traditional products like trips or tour bookings. Maybe you have digital products, online courses or eBooks. I know some of you watching right now have service-based revenue streams like consulting or coaching, or maybe you just want more opt-ins to your newsletter. So whatever your revenue goal is, this is going to be a power session specifically on using email. So we're going to, rather than doing a general talk on lead generation, we're going to dive deeper into using email automation, something many of us already do anyway. So before we get started, as I said, don't forget to drop your questions down below in our chat. And if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you can also ask your questions there, and we'll try to get to them all by the end of the chat. Okay, so I'm really excited to bring these guys back. RJ and Milos from Grilled Cheese Affairs. I'm going to bring them in now. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Are you guys in? Were you guys in Thailand? Are you?
I am in my backyard in the annex in Toronto, back patio. There is a castle behind me, but I don't think you can see it because of the webcam. But I'm right by Casaloma in Toronto, which is a big filming location. So if you've never seen it before, it's used in it's the school in X-Men where they all are, and I think it was used in a lot of more recent movies too.
It's just in Ready or Not.
It's in Ready or Not.
Yeah, Ready or Not. That movie. It's entirely filmed in Casaloma. Yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah. So it's right there.
Awesome.
Beyond those leaves.
Milos, you're also in Toronto with us, right?
Yeah, I'm just working from home at Toronto Midtown. Nothing fancy here. Just my apartment.
And I'm also coming to you guys from Toronto. So it's great to have you guys back. We had you for our email marketing event a few months back. And since then, you guys have been working on a few projects. You've been working with American Express. RJ tells me, what have you guys been up to? Tell us a bit about what you do.
Okay, so we are a digital media strategy consulting agency. We primarily work with B2B. So a lot of our clients are in the software space, or SaaS, software as a service. So a lot of the things that we do are kind of the stuff that we're covering today. We build landing pages. We do email marketing campaigns. We work with social advertising. So we have an agency partner for Google Ads, but we do specialize in Facebook and Instagram ads. So that's like our key core focus. And then we also do a lot of workshops like this. Like the most recent one that Milos and I did outside of Travel Massive was we trained 50 digital marketers for Hill and Knowlton Strategies. So they're the PR firm that does the reputation management for Coca-Cola and all of their branded products, and some Unilever products as well. So it was like the first time we did something for fast-moving consumer goods. So I was like really excited to train people in that space. And it was nice for me to get out of like the B2B mindset of everything being lead generation and to be like, just buy this now because it's like $1. So that was kind of cool. And surprisingly, because of this whole COVID stuff, we've actually been doing quite well. People are reaching out to us now as we build platforms to help with another B2B firm that digitizes businesses. So really, like we're in it because digital is more present now as an advertising strategy, especially because all the things are closed and like you need more online related stuff. So yeah, that's where we're at currently. Milos, do you have anything to add?
I'd just like to add, because we're talking to Travel Massive, we got to bring up Tours of the Six.
Oh yeah,
one of our little. They're not a huge client, but they do walking tours in Toronto, and they're very much like travel niche, right? People come to Toronto, they visit, they want to learn more. They have some really cool like theme tours, like ones like was the Drake tour, like you go see like things about Drake, where he lived, where he did stuff. So yeah, we also work with like with smaller B2C companies occasionally, and some of them are in the travel niche. So it's
oh yeah,
just want to bring
and
them
I mean
up.
like We haven't done too much work because it's been years since we've worked with them, but we also did work with Out Adventures. I think it is a subsidiary of Intrepid Travel, but like it's the largest gay and lesbian travel agency. So it's essentially like Intrepid, but for the LGBT community, and it's so big that it's like bigger than any other American agency that attempted to do the same thing. So shout out to Rob who owns that company because he's a pleasure to work with.
And since you're working with all these brands, what have you found with COVID? Like, what's the number one, I guess, challenge when it comes to increasing your sales and your conversions this time around?
So for us, like as a company, Grilled Cheese Affairs, uh, so we're going under a complete rebranding right now. So like the website hasn't been updated actually at the end of this month in 10 years. So like maybe the clients that are on there are like 10% of the total of the people that we've worked with. I feel like it's even less than that now. But it's because like I've been very focused on a particular niche to the point where all of our sales actually I've spent $0 on our actual internal marketing because it's all been referrals.
Right.
But like the challenges for our clients is really just what kind of digital tools can we consult on and like implement for our clients to address COVID challenges. So, for example, a lot of service-based clients that we have, like a lot of the stuff that they're asking about is, should we start thinking about other features on our website to help with the fact that, like, we're in a situation where there are no more physical meetings, and it's hard to even do that kind of thing, even with phase 2 open, where we can have like patios open now, which is kind of nice because I purposefully went outside for this because we only have 12 weeks of summer, guys. So anyway, the main thing for me with those types of clients is really just like installing e-commerce and like online payment suggestions and tools, and then also if there are like meetings and like conference related materials or event related things, like how can we bring them to just purely online. So one of the projects that I'm working on is as Grilled Cheese Affairs, we work with this impact investment firm called Entrepreneur. So I go to the Northern Territories of Canada every year. So I go to Whitehorse, Yellowknife, and Iqaluit in the North Pole, and I work with a bunch of consultants that have the goal to increase new venture creation and business development in those parts of Canada, specifically Indigenous startups. So the First Nations community is something that's like important to me because like I like calling it out. I'm a visible minority, and I think about these kinds of things, and like the Indigenous community is definitely part of that, and the challenges that they face, especially when they expand big enough that their services require like nationwide sales. So I go up there and I help them with their marketing and advertising. And with these kinds of challenges, this year's theme for Entrepreneur is Indigenous fashion. And so one thing I'm entertaining and I'm working with Ben on, who is the founder of Entrepreneur, is are we going to do something like a live digital runway type of situation? Because I mean, I don't even know if I'll be able to fly to the territories with this situation as it stands.
Right.
So yeah, and I actually I used to sit and work with Fashion Group International on that board, and I used to be the digital strategist for Fashion Week here in Toronto. So it's something that's kind of like so aligned with what I used to do like 8 years ago, and it's all just like coming back full circle because like the previous 2 cohorts with Entrepreneur since I started was tourism was last year's, and then the year before was products from the land. So it was like Indigenous products that involved like making soap from bowhead whale oil that you can only really get in the North Pole. So things like that. So yeah, this one's pretty exciting for me. And
Awesome.
yeah, in terms of the challenges, it's really just how can we be able to still do business in like an online capacity. So that includes like the e-commerce payments and stuff like that. or if there are things like event spaces, like if we can't physically meet, what are the ways we can digitize? Like this is one of those answers, right? So yeah,
for
Mila,
sure.
you have anything to add?
And email automation is obviously one of those ways because that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've got lots of people from around the world tuning in. I'm just kind of taking a quick look at our chat. We've got people from Scotland. Hi, Bruce in Colombia. That's awesome. And Ecuador, of course, Toronto, Hamilton. So a lot of people are diverse just as you and coming from different places and got different products to sell. If you've got a particular product to sell or you're looking for a particular conversion, leave that in the chat below and we'll try to address it. It's kind of good to know what people are working on right now. So I'm going to hop out of here and I will leave it to you guys to take over, and I'll come back and we'll go through some questions if anyone has any other questions. All right.
Cool. Sounds great.
All
Thank
right.
you, Christina.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Sweet. Okay. So welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time to go through this with us, and let's get started. So just some quick intros. RJ, do you want to go ahead and do your own?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of, I'll make it a little bit quicker because I think we talked about ourselves a little bit there. But yeah, hello everyone, I'm RJ. My background is on content marketing and digital advertising on social platforms. I love travel, and I have been landlocked in Canada. Like Milosh and I were supposed to spend a month in Thailand, like actually, like this winter, but obviously that didn't happen because we wanted to go like around March or April, and I don't even know if we can do that next year until this situation kind of improves, but I'm hopeful. Yeah, literally all of my disposable income goes to food and travel, which is why I love working with the Travel Massive community. But otherwise, I do run a digital marketing agency called Grail Cheese Affairs. Milosh is one of the people on my team, and we work together. So off to you, homie.
Cool. Okay. My name is Milosh. So I actually was in the live events field for 5 years of my life, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with travel, because when you work in AV, you have the entire winter where there's very little work. And I took advantage of that and kind of got out to certain places. And so I think that's like, obviously I love talking to people about entrepreneurship. I love talking about marketing, digital marketing, all that stuff. Since churning into that industry full time, it's been a passion of mine for a long time. At least small time entrepreneurship has. I've sold all kinds of stuff since I was a kid. And yeah, now I work for RJ. I'm an accounts manager at Grilled Cheese Affairs, and I'm lucky enough to get involved in some of this stuff where we get to teach people about some of the stuff that we do. So that's me. Cool. So really briefly, what we're going to cover today. This is the agenda, but what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to build a landing page on MailChimp. We're going to show you some of the key aspects that you need to keep in mind when you're building that landing page, how to make it, how to make a well-made landing page. And then we're going to show you A/B testing, automation, and close off with some best practices for you.
Awesome. All right, so I'm just going to open it up with a brief stint on landing pages, and the way to open that up is to bring us back to like old school marketing. So this is the marketing funnel, and when we think about marketing and when we think about what we want to advertise or what we want to talk to our customers about, whether or not they know who we are, we think about this funnel, and it is a marketing funnel. Sometimes it's called a sales funnel. But there's three groups that I want you to pay attention to here. And I have these little acronyms, TOFU, MOFU, and BOFU. And they all stand for top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. So the top of the funnel is the concept where you're creating messaging for customers that don't know who you are. So what you might see in that top bit, there's two categories, awareness and consideration. So if I'm looking at this in terms of advertising, an awareness type ad would just be reaching out to people who I think would be interested in my product or service, and like serving an ad to get to know me. So it could be just like a branded image or a simple message or slogan where I'm not trying to sell something yet. I just want to say like, hey, I exist in this space. And then consideration is just one step below that, where now I can start talking about maybe what makes me unique from my competitors. So in terms of like Procter and Gamble calls these like moments of truths as well. If we're going to compare it to like walking into a store, the awareness level ads are the things that we'd see like on billboards and posters while we're walking around the city. In the digital space, they would be the things if we were like in Instagram or if we were on Facebook just swiping through and we're starting to see ads, but the ads aren't like asking us to buy something just yet. It's just like a branded image. And those are awareness type and consideration type level ads. For middle of the funnel, that is when we're actually trying to convince somebody to buy something or to commit to an action. So we will talk about this in the next slide when we get into the landing pages and email marketing. But the transition from getting to someone to know about our brand to evaluating our brand means that the type of messaging we give will change, right? Assuming that the people already know what our brand is, we want to give them other incentives to buy our stuff because they might be ready at that point to buy. Marketing is all about having the right message to the right person at the right time. So if somebody doesn't know about our brand yet, it doesn't make sense for me to give an ad where they should just immediately buy or book a tour, right? So in these types of cases, typically we would want people to have seen our top of the funnel ads before they see our middle of the funnel ads. And at this level, these are the places, or these are the types of ads where we would have the call to actions on our Facebook or Instagram ads to like buy now. This is where we would put pricing information or package information so that they can make a more informed decision. And this is where we would put comparative tools, like how are we different from our competitors? Well, here's that like, features list line by one with the brands, because some sites do that. Those types of information that we're displaying are middle of the funnel. And then there's the last little bucket at the bottom called bottom of the funnel, and it involves loyalty and advocacy. So what that really means is if they've already made a purchase, how do we get them to come back and how do we get them to talk about us and choose us every time? If I'm going to put it back to like that storefront thing. One of my things is that like before we even walk into like a grocery store to buy whatever we're buying, sometimes I'll like Google the brands that I already want. So like even just Googling what those top brands are, that's like an awareness level research as a consumer. We should be present in advertising there so that when they do walk into that grocery store, at the middle of the funnel is that moment of truth where they're looking at all of the products. So say I go into like, oh, I don't know, our pharmacies here are called Shoppers Drug Marts. So if I go into Shoppers and I want to get like, I don't know, ibuprofen, right? Or like something for my headache, I can see like Tylenol and Advil and all these brands, and then there's generic. Like I would say that is that like conversion level moment of truth. I'm looking at the shelves and I'm ready to pick and buy something. The loyalty and advocacy is after I bought like my Tylenol, for example, and I've taken it, I just go back to the grocery store and like without thinking, just get it every time. Or if somebody has a headache, I'll be like, hey, I've got Tylenol. Do you want some? So that's like the three advertising strategies as a whole that, obviously it gets more complex when we get into marketing, but that we should be thinking about. At the very least, when you're running advertising strategies, remember that you should think about which bucket your ad is in. Is it at the top, the middle, or at the bottom? And now we can go to the next slide.
Okay.
So
right.
this is where landing pages comes in. I'm going to give you some key terms. So a landing page is a standalone web page. It's not necessarily your main website. A lot of people think that a landing page is like a home page, but a home page is part of an overall website environment that could have a different set of goals. Landing pages are very unique. They have a single focus or goal, and they tend to be based on whatever you're promoting. So if I'm running an ad, like at the middle of the funnel where I want people to like buy something from me, I might do a landing page for one particular product. So like say I'm a tour site or like I'm a tour agent and I want to run a sale right now specifically for Thailand because I still want to go to Thailand, guys. And I normally do tours for all around the world. One type of landing page I could do is literally just one particular Thailand tour that I want to sell. So I can run an ad on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google Ads, and it would just be like this Thailand trip. And I would make a dedicated page for that with a single focus, like either book this trip or get a package and find out more about what this trip entails. Those are landing pages, and they don't even need to be part of the website. They don't need to be part of your menu. You can make these separately. And this is kind of when Milos gets into MailChimp, why MailChimp's landing page builder is really good for that, because you can brand it looking like your website, but it'll have all of the tracking capabilities related to the things that you'd want to pay attention to in an email campaign. Otherwise, you could still technically do it with, your WordPress site or your Wix site or whatever, but it might not work as hand in hand. Typically, there are landing page tools like Unbounce, and people use them. But when we work with those tools, it requires a greater degree of complexity and knowledge. So we created this masterclass essentially to show you that, hey, you can do this all in MailChimp. So those are landing pages. They land from a marketing effort that you've done. So either an ad, or you just posted it in your Instagram link, for your Instagram page, or you made a Facebook page post. It doesn't have to be a Facebook ad itself. It could just be a social post. You could have written a blog post on Medium, and then that's if you want more information on the trip that I'm currently planning right now, here's a link to that landing page. So you can put them anywhere, but those are all marketing efforts. You created those with the goal to sell that product, and you created a page dedicated to it that you could bring people down your marketing funnel. So landing page builders are different tools that you can use to make landing pages easy, and you don't need to know code. So we're going to be using MailChimp today, but there are a bunch of other tools. If you Google landing page builder, it's going to be 50 different tools you can use at least. And then the landing page tools themselves are other things that you could add on. So you could have things maybe integrating MailChimp into Unbounce, because Unbounce doesn't have email marketing capabilities. And MailChimp actually created this landing page feature to compete with Unbounce. Because hey, if you're going to connect MailChimp to Unbounce anyway, why don't you just do it all in MailChimp? And so those are the three key terms that I think that you guys need to kind of make note of as we talk throughout the rest of the slides. Milos?
Okay, so why are we choosing to do MailChimp? Why are we introducing you guys to MailChimp? Essentially because it's free. Because like Christina said, she wanted us to talk to people who might be new entrepreneurs, have a new product, have a new something, whatever it is. And in times like this with COVID, everyone's kind of concerned about spending money in the proper way to drive revenue. So we think MailChimp's great because it's free. Your first 2,000 subscribers to your mailing list are totally free. Your first 10,000 emails a month, you can keep doing that every month, are free. And you have the basic website building and landing page building capabilities all for free. So we love it for that. It does have some limitations that we'll get into, but essentially it's a great tool for people, and it's a great tool for entrepreneurs, but also it is enterprise class. We have clients that have massive revenues that still use MailChimp because it is a industry standard. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting industry standard at a very, very inexpensive price for your first 2,000 subscribers. So we like it.
Yeah, also, Milos, gonna throw it out there, and I don't think you've experienced it yet, but MailChimp support is actually pretty great. They're all based in Atlanta, and they're the most pleasant people ever. They have these southern accents because they're all they're all in that area. They all sound like Southern belles. It's great.
That's awesome. Honestly, support, and actually that's another reason why, not just their support that you can call into, but MailChimp's been around for a long time, so just Googling what you need for MailChimp is a lot easier because there's a ton of documentation online. Emails can be expanded to create a full web page experience. This is a really cool, unique feature to MailChimp, and they have an easy to use drag and drop web page editor, which we're going to show you. And here's the coolest part that I found. I didn't know this, but I was doing some research recently, and I found out that because of COVID, MailChimp actually has a limited time offer to get a free domain for 5 years that's hosted by them. So I think the offer runs out real soon. I think it's only till June 30th. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys because that's awesome. If you wanted to create a page and you needed to you need a domain for it, you won't have to pay for it for 5 years. They do have a couple stipulations, it has to be active. So I think if you make the page, you have to come back to it every now and then, or they'll charge you for that year. But I think in total it's $125 over 5 years free. So definitely check that out. And then the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is MailChimp is amazing, but it does have its limitations, and it's important for you to know that for when you're actually making a choice of what you want to use for your business. So while it's free and you can definitely get started today and use it immediately, a couple things to note is that it's only optimized for email traffic. So if you're going to do, so we're going to show you how to make landing pages. And if you're going to drive traffic to those landing pages from other advertisers, so you're going to do social ads, you're going to do organic ads, you're going to do, like RJ said, putting that little link in your in your Instagram profile or wherever, it's not optimized for that. You can still do it. It just requires a little bit more work. As an e-commerce portal, so we're going to show you how to build a landing page that doesn't just drive leads, but can also sell stuff. Like you can sell stuff using MailChimp. The only drawback to that is that you have to use SquarePay. They currently only integrate with that payment solution. So I don't know about you guys, I use Stripe and PayPal mostly. I don't have a SquarePay account. So that's a little bit of a drawback for me. But if you have a SquarePay account, it's perfect for you. It's right there. And you cannot edit landing pages for mobile only experience. Actually, I should change this because I just recently, I was looking it up. There are ways to edit it for mobile only experience, but it's not as easy. So that shouldn't say that you cannot, but it's just not as easy. It's a little bit more difficult. But again, it's free. You can get started right now. So we think it's a great tool for people to use.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, it's not that like it will look bad on mobile. It's still going to be a responsive landing page. Like it'll resize to look good on mobile. What Milos is really referring to is that if you just wanted like to optimize for mobile experiences first, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, because essentially also some landing page builders will let you build a separate site for mobile and for desktop. So it doesn't have that, but otherwise it's still pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about the two types of landing pages. I kind of talked about this a second ago, but basically when we're bringing people to a landing page, we usually have one of two goals. We're either doing some lead gen. So lead gen is mostly when we have the goal of collecting information and we want to continue marketing to this person. Lead gen it's great for service-based and B2B businesses, and it's more so when you need to build a longer relationship with your audience or with your traffic before you can convert them and convince them to buy from you. E-commerce landing pages are the opposite of that. An e-commerce landing page will get you there, and the goal is to get somebody to make a purchase right then and there. Both can be done with MailChimp. E-commerce is only available with the SquarePay, but they're great for businesses that focus for online purchases. If you guys are selling products related to travel, or you're selling certain things that people buy on the spot, like impulse purchases, it's really good. You need to use these and correspond to different stages in the marketing funnel for different products. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples. Lead gen is better when your sales cycle is a little bit longer. So if you're selling an expensive service or product, it's more likely that you're going to want to do lead gen and nurture those leads. So for example, if you're a company like, I'll take Out Adventures for an example, they sell entire packages where you go for they'll take you for 10 days to some location, and all your activities are planned and everything is there, and they operate the entire tour. That's an expense. That's a high ticket item. That's a big purchase. So usually people are not going to buy that just from reading a landing page. It's not likely, right? So for those, we usually want to collect the lead and nurture it over time. Use email marketing, use retargeting ads, all kinds of stuff to keep communication with these people so that they can be in the consideration phase and decide, okay, I want this. Whereas e-commerce is a lot better for snap purchases or impulse buys or small ticket items. If you're selling the best travel pillow, you have the travel pillow that will make airplanes comfortable. Not a big deal now because COVID's making you block out seats. But back in the day when you were cramped in this little place, if you had that pillow and it's only $16.99 or $20, it's a lot easier to get people to make that purchase based off just a short landing page than it is something more expensive. So for that, you definitely want to go e-commerce route. The other time that you want to go e-commerce route is when it needs to be an impulse decision. So for example, our client Tours of the Six, they do walking tours in Toronto. For them, we might suggest an e-commerce route because the people who want their tours are probably, they landed in Toronto, they're here for a couple of days, and they want to know more about it. So they're going to make that purchase very quickly. Even if it's I don't even know what their most expensive tour is, but I'm pretty sure they're under $100. And it's, again, small ticket, impulse buy, so people will do it. So when you're deciding which one of two landing pages you want to do, make sure that it corresponds to where you are in the funnel and where these people are so that they can take advantage of it, and so you're sending them the right message at the right time. Okay, let's go through building a landing page on MailChimp. So this next part's going to be a little bit quick. We're going to show you a lot of stuff within screenshots of it, and then we'll show you a little bit of the demos that we built with it. It's going to be kind of cool. So first off, you have to have a MailChimp account for this, but once you get in there, we're going to be focusing on showing you how to make landing pages using pre-made templates. Within MailChimp, you can make your own templates. You can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. But just to get started as quickly as possible, all you have to do is you have to log in, go to your MailChimp account. Under the Create heading right here, you get a drop-down, and you can select Landing Page. Once you're there, it's going to ask you to name your landing page and select an audience for your landing page. Now, when you're selecting your audience, this is going to be new subscribers. This is going to, so basically, whether you're selling something or you're doing lead gen, both cases, you're going to be building an email list with this landing page because it's on MailChimp. So that being the case, you just want to choose the audience that you want to grow. So if you have an existing audience of people and you want to add to that audience, select that one. Or if you're going to start from scratch, make a new one. And then choose a template to build or create from. Right now, MailChimp, and I guess this is another thing that I should mention, another drawback of MailChimp is that their landing, as a landing page builder, their current templates are few. There's not that many. They're good, they're nice, they look great, and they're very customizable, so you can build your own, but you don't have many options to choose from in the beginning. So keep that in mind. And then you can preview them. If you hover over any of the templates in the right-hand corner, you're going to get a little magnifying glass icon, so you can actually preview them before you decide on one. And that's kind of nice because you can see kind of what they look like. They have 3 or 4 templates that are pre-populated, meaning that like there's images and text and all this stuff in it. And those are going to be the ones that I actually created demos for you guys just to see what they look like. But you can also build them from scratch using their template builders. There's a lot of stuff that you can do there. And so this is so just so you know, so here we're going to select this one over here. You can't really see it, but it's called the Wild Country theme, and we're going to go ahead and select it. And this is what happens. You get an interface like this. Over here, what you're seeing is the actual web page that people will see, and over on the right is where all your tools are. So we're going to go ahead and focus on the first thing. This part right here, blocks. This is the tool to add sections to your landing page. Landing pages, especially the templated ones, will already have a number of blocks already set up for you, and you can go ahead and add them or subtract them however you want there. The other side, style, this is a tab that makes global changes to sections of your site. So for example, if you have headings on your site, you can go into here under page, and you can set it that every text heading is a certain font, a certain color, a certain size, a certain whatever, however you want to make it. And then you can that propagates everywhere on your landing page. So it makes it a little bit easier, but you can always still change components individually in their respective places. So then here, we've now selected a component. So this Wild Country right here, this is a text block. We've selected it, and instead of seeing the former tool, you see this new interface. And this new interface has 3 sections: content, style, and settings. So content usually is the actual content itself. So you'll get to edit the writing, you'll get to edit some styling components of the actual writing itself, and certain options of a component. So when you open, for example, a call to action or a button click through, the content section will have options for like, what do you want the button to say? What color will the button be? Things like that. Style is usually there to make changes to all the fonts in the block, but it's also for changing alignment, padding. Sometimes you'll find those same options that I was talking about in content for the button in style. So padding, size, shape, things like that. You just got to play around with it with the different blocks. Sometimes it's in one place, sometimes it's in the other. And then settings is, that's usually editing the number of columns for text or images, or very specific functions like where does your CTA click through to, and things like that. So yeah, and I will be showing you guys this live. So first I want to show you guys a couple of examples. So these examples are going to go from like the most bare bone basic, I just threw some images together just to show you what you can do in like 3 minutes, all the way out to like something that takes a little bit more time. So the first I'm going to show you is this one. I'll move my screen over. So here's an example of one. Again, very, very simple. This is the most basic template that they have. I just threw in the Travel Massive logo and just kept the rest. And this would be a great lead gen one. So if you have just like a, an offer that you can put into one sentence, like we're giving away a free guide for something, just buy now. This is a great way to just build one in like 3 minutes, and you can go ahead and fire it off. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more involved one. This one is an e-commerce one. So again, we're selling the only beanie you'll ever need, the Travel Massive beanie. Again, this is basically based off of the template that it gave us. So it already had this set up. All I had to do is throw a logo in here and some text, and the button's already ready. This section I didn't change, but again, you can change it for however you want. We have
Milosh,
Yep.
after you show the last one, let's open one of them
Yes.
and like show the behind the scenes too.
Yeah. I'm going to show them that in 1 sec. So again, just you can set up test ones. This one block here I wasn't able to edit because to actually edit this, you need to have SquarePay involved, and you can actually put your and this is the e-commerce section though, because what's really cool here is I can actually put the picture of the beanie here and start collecting payments as long as I can connect my Square account. I don't have one, but yeah. So this is another example, and then the last example that I'm going to show you guys, which is probably the nicest one. Where is it? Ooh, I don't have it open. Hold on 1 second. Let me just open it up. Where is it? Here. Sorry, give me 1 second. I thought I had this open already, but clearly I did not. And again, this last one, so that second one is an example of an e-commerce site. Now I'm going to show you an example of kind of a mixed site where you can also run e-commerce but also collect email addresses. So for this one, I'm imagining that I'm making a Travel Massive site to tell people about Travel Massive events, right? So right here we're collecting emails, we have the nice picture and stuff, but down here we can actually put them information as to like different things that Travel Massive offers, right? So this is, I took these are like old events that happened in the Thailand group from Travel Massive. And again, this was very easy to put together. So now that I've shown you guys these ones, I'm going to go ahead and show you on a tab how we go about actually building them and how simple it is, so that you guys can see live as we like rebuild one of these from the ground up. Let me just get into my dashboard here. Okay, and now we are in my dummy dashboard. So you can see right here, this is what we were talking about before. This is what it looks like. I go up to create. I go down a landing page. I select it. And again, Travel Massive Demo. Massive Demo number 7, we're going to call it. I only have one audience here. It was just from a dummy account. So we'll just go ahead and
clearly practiced this in advance.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've built like 6 of these in the last like 3 hours, like not 3 hours, like 3 days. So it's just like, it's a lot of stuff. So again, let's pick a new theme that we haven't seen before. So let's go ahead with this one. This one looks interesting, right? So just click the theme, and it will open up into a new web page. So now just give it a second to load. It does take some time. They're doing a lot of work back there. Or my internet is slow. I don't know. Nope, it's good. Okay, here we go. So now you see we have this background. So again, blocks on this side, I can add and remove stuff. I can go to styling. I can style entire parts of the page here. But what I want to show you is how do we select things. So here you'll see I can select this, for example, and this is an image. So if I click replace, I can replace this with the Travel Massive logo, insert that, and bam, I've already started making my own web page. Now, the one thing that I do want to show you here is like, for example, I can select these pieces, but what's if I want to do the background stuff? So over here is all the background pieces. So in the bottom left corner, if I click here, I can change the background image to, let's say I want it to be the Travel Massive gradients, right? Bam. I go in here, I click this. On the left side, on the right side, sorry, I have the ability to change the text to whatever I want. So if I want to say, this is so cool, I'm building a landing page. Bam. It's pretty simple. A lot of this is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to end it here. Like, obviously, there's different sections. If you want to remove an entire section, you just press this and it's gone. If you want to add an entire section, save and close whatever section you have selected. Go to blocks. And let's add an image section. And I want to add it right. Oh no, sorry. Hold on. No, an image section. I want to add it. No, it's not gonna let me do that. I need to do a divider, I think. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Okay, so what might be happening with this one is they've already set up certain containers and boxes. So I might have to figure out what the containers and boxes are in the style portion before I can edit it entirely and just put things wherever I want. But again, I can put blocks into the things that they've allowed for. So like you see here, like anywhere where I'm dragging my mouse is places where I can put stuff in. So clearly this website, this template has certain containers that I'd have to mess around with to change. But you see how easy it is to put this in. And then again, I just come over here, I upload an image, and let's put 2 pictures in here. And bam, I've got the beginnings of a landing page. So you have to play around with it yourself. It is pretty simple, but it's not like it will take you a little bit of time to learn, but it's not going to take too long. And you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff with it. So now that we've talked about that, let's talk about what you need to do to create a good landing page. Because now you know how to do it, but what good is it if you don't know the best practices? So let's talk about the first thing, above the fold. Above the fold refers to everything that somebody sees when they first load the landing page. So just to go back to one of the examples, oops, let's go back to one of the examples up here. So this one, right? This page just loaded. Everything that you see here in the screen right now is above the fold. Anything below, people have to scroll down for. So this is the most important piece that we're gonna have always. It's always the most important part.
And like, just like to remember it better, the reason why it's called above the fold is like back in the day when we didn't have websites or the internet, people had newspapers, and newspapers. Okay, I don't have a newspaper because like, when have I had a newspaper in the last 5 years? But let's say that my tablet is a newspaper. The fold is before you actually like expand to read the rest of the paper. So anything above the fold is usually the most pressing headline. It's the most like iconic story of the day. And we use that in website terminology because it comes from those roots, like the newspaper before you fold it open.
Yeah, and it really is the most important part. Some of you may be familiar with the term bounce rate. Bounce rate is just a metric measuring how many people go on your site and then immediately get off. And basically, those people had a first impression of your site. It's everything in the above the fold section. And that either convinces them to stay or go. So that's the first thing we want to optimize. We want to make sure that we set this area up to be the best that it can be. So focus on the above the fold more than anywhere else to begin with. Call to actions. Throughout your landing page, you want to make sure that you only have one major call to action. That doesn't mean that you can't have multiple buttons. A lot of landing pages will, let you sign up here, sign up there, scroll down, sign up, scroll down, sign up. But the important thing is that there's only one call to action. Remember how RJ was talking about how a landing page is there to like bring people into one specific part? On your website, it's very common to have multiple call to actions, right? Your website, you might have your podcast, your products, your tours, your this, your that. For a landing page, we want to drill it down to one thing. What is the action you want people to take? Only have that CTA there and test it. Test having your CTA in different places and with different calls to action. So an example would be like, maybe book a tour is really effective, but like learn more isn't. Whatever you put in your button, right? That's your call to action. So test different ones. Again, book a tour versus book your tour now. Test which one is going to get people to click more often. Sometimes that little bit of urgency that you get with the extra words translates into more revenue, more sales for you. So work on your CTAs. Oops. And then next thing is copy and visuals. My personal view is that copy should be utilitarian, especially on landing pages. If you have a blog, if you have a website, feel free to, write to your heart's content. But on a landing page, you want to make sure that all the copy is there for one specific purpose. And it's to bring people down the landing page and into doing what you want them to do. Keep your copy short, keep it to the point, and make sure that you don't have copy that drives people away from the point that you want to bring them to. Make sure that all your visuals are crisp and display well on different screens, and make sure that your visuals don't clash with overlaid text. So here on the right, I've set up, this is a preview of that very easy landing page that I made on mobile. What can happen sometimes with mobile and other landing pages is if we had a picture background back here, right? And let's say the gradients, so let's say there's a picture background and maybe the colors of the background have some of the same colors as my fonts. What can happen sometimes is you can have a landing page where when you put it on mobile, the background picture makes it difficult to read or looks ugly on top of the text. So always check for that because like in today's world, so much of the traffic that you're going to get is going to come from mobile. So you need to make sure that you're checking for that and cognizant of it so that you're not losing tons of revenue or, people signing up because they just can't read it or it looks ugly or unprofessional. And finally, the flow. This has kind of been talked about in all these. Make sure that your page is always driving people towards an action. At no point in your page, like if you want them to sign up, everything that you're saying should be getting closer and closer and closer to wanting to sign up until you say sign up now. Don't have anything that moves people to like the left or right. They always want to be moving down your funnel. And you got to be giving the right message to the right person at the right time. So also keep that in mind as you're writing the copy for your landing page, right? What do people need to know in the first paragraph to be like, okay, I'm considering this product. Now let me know some features. Now let me know the price. Now let me know this before they go to buy. So just keep the flow in mind when you're building your landing pages. It's very important. A/B testing. So I was talking earlier about testing your landing pages. This is really what we're talking about. A/B testing is possibly the most important part of marketing. A lot of people have said that, a good digital marketer is just someone who knows how to test the hell out of everything. And that's really what you need to be doing. A/B testing or split testing helps take the guesswork out of some simple questions we have. So for example, remember how we're talking about above the fold? Well, for some landing pages, having your call to action above the fold helps because people are just like, oh, I read the headline, I click, I'm good. For other landing pages, people might need to know a lot more before you give them the CTA. So for some landing pages, that CTA at the top might actually reduce your click-through rate. So test for that. Test what color should your button be. Test what images are more engaging. What headline grab people's attention better. And there's tons of other things that you could test for, like the design, the layout. Should you have a testimonial section or not? There's so many things you can test for. Right here. What can we test for? So above the fold content, do we have a CTA or no CTA? Do we have a headline? Do we not have a headline? What is the headline copy? Call to actions, button color and size, call to action copy. How are we going to display them? Where do we want to put them on the screen? The design of the landing page, again, sections, right? So should we include a section explaining the features, or is that just too much and it ruins the flow of the page for people to go down and buy? And then landing page copy, test your copy, see what kind of descriptions work, what kind of paragraphs work best for lead generation, and just have a different spin on things and test them both out. Okay, and then so this link will take you to a step-by-step guide on how to create an A/B testing campaign. The first thing that you have to have before you can do that is you have to have multiple versions of your landing page. So those landing pages that we showed you, we'd want to have one with like that version, and then you just duplicate it and make another one and change only one thing.
I'm going to interrupt you, Milos. It also depends on what you're testing. So like when Milos gets to the bottom point, if you're not testing elements on your landing page, you may not need to do multiple versions.
Yes, that's true. So if you're not going to test your landing page per se, if you're going to test the email marketing that brings people to the landing page, then you totally don't have to. But if you're testing anything on the landing page, you need a duplicate copy. And then don't complicate it. Always try to test one thing at a time. If you change 3 things on your landing page and then test them against each other, and one of them performs better, you don't know which one of the 3 changes that you made that increase. So of those 3 changes, 2 of them could be bad, 1 could be good. But you don't know that because you changed 3 at a time. So try to test one thing at a time. Test your CTA. Find which one works better, great. Next, test your headline. Find which one works better, great. Move on. It's the same thing for email marketing. You always want to be testing just one thing at a time so that you can get solid, accurate data.
Yeah, so oftentimes when we're doing A/B testing, the first thing we test, if it's an email, is the subject line. And then if it's a landing page, it's usually anything above the fold. So it could be like what the word of the button says, like whether or not it says book a tour now or find out more or click here. Typically click here is the worst thing to put in, so like don't do that. But whatever you want to test for your messaging could be that. And then sometimes if the messaging is good, we might do something simple, just like testing the color even, because maybe the contrast isn't good enough. But yeah, if it is email, it is subject line. If it's landing page, just focus on what's above the fold.
Yeah, start with that. Always optimize that first. And then just over here, this is a quick screenshot from inside the MailChimp when you do the A/B testing. So again, you can test subject line, the from name. If you're testing a landing page, it's going to be in content. So this is the one that you want to be selecting if you are, if you are split testing anything to do with your landing page. Okay, So great. Now we've got you to get an amazing MailChimp landing page. Now, what do? You've tested it. What's next? The first thing I want to talk to you about is an automation. So once your landing page is complete, you can use MailChimp to create an automation where essentially every time somebody signs up for your whatever you guys are selling, right? Maybe you're selling tours, maybe you're selling, or maybe it becomes a lead for you. So a lead for a tour site, or a lead for a service, or a lead as a travel consultant, whatever it is that you guys do, you can set up an automation where they immediately get an email and they immediately get put into what we call a drip campaign, which we don't have time to go into here, but basically it's a series of emails meant to take somebody from that top level of the marketing funnel, awareness, all the way down to buying, to conversion, right? So you can set that up. When you set up, you want to use the exact same audiences you selected for your landing page. There is a link here on how to do it. Again, MailChimp has great documentation. And then you want to use these automations to do a couple of things. Use it to onboard new leads and drive it to sales. If you made a sale, so let's say you sold that travel pillow that we talked about earlier, that perfect travel pillow. Well, the easiest customer to get is somebody who's already bought from you. So this is a great time to upsell them. Again, if they bought the travel pillow, then upsell them on maybe a carrying case for it or whatever. Send them an email about it. It's a great way to drive more revenue and increase the amount of money that you make from your sales. And then also you can use it to build a sense of community. Your ability to talk to these people and build a relationship with your brand is also very important. People buy from brands. They don't really sometimes we buy products, but there's usually multiple options for every product. So we really buy from brands. We buy from the brands that resonate with us, that we like, that we whose image we get along with. So definitely think about that and use your automations to build that as well. Now for this last part, I'm going to show you a much more professional version of a landing page. The other ones were kind of just throw stuff at a wall just to show you that we can do it. Here is an example of a landing page that we would make, for example. So here we go. Let's take a look at some things. This entire landing page is basically above the fold. So we went the easy route and said we're only going to have above the fold. Headline, very little copy, driving people down. Again, minimal with the copy, and the flow is very simple. Read this, and give us your email address. If you don't want to, get out.
But seriously though, get out. We don't want you.
Yeah, no, and this is, and the other good thing about this too is you want to get results from your landing page. If this isn't working, then you kind of know that something here isn't working. Right now, this is get your free Europe packing guide, right? In theory, if we ran this right now, this might not have any traction because maybe everyone's concerned about COVID. But you learn because it doesn't work, because it doesn't drive any traffic to you. Maybe people don't care about this offer. So,
or maybe we can change the headline to be here are get your checklist for preparing to travel in Europe during COVID, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe that was the message we really needed to send.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure right now everybody's concerned about everything to do with how will travel come back with COVID? How are we going to do things with COVID? How are you going to go to a restaurant? I'm pretty sure somebody could put out an information product on how to get reservations for restaurants now that patios are open, and people would download it like crazy because they're oh my God, I need to go back to a restaurant. So always think about time sensitive stuff. What is your offer, and does it relate to what people need? And then the last thing we're going to show you is, again, so let's say somebody goes here and they give their email address. Well, then we want to use that automation that we were talking about to send them something like this. So I'm going to show you guys the full screen version. So where is my mouse? Here it is. Okay, sorry about that. And we're going to do here. So again, here we go. This is an email that we would send them after. Thanks for signing up. Here's your free packing guide. Just follow the link below for your free PDF guide for everything you need to bring when you go to Europe.
Milo, can you zoom in? Control plus it.
Yes. There we go. So here's your guide. Download my guide. You click the button here. Little image, a little bit of whatever you want to put down here, and bam, you have an email that is now driving people through your funnel to eventually do what you want them to do, and you've collected an email while doing it.
Yeah, and this could be anything based on your goals, right? Sometimes it could be, so if you're a travel consultant, maybe the thing is not that you have prepackaged trips. Maybe you want to talk to them about the trip. So you after they get the guide, you could send another email that's here, click this button to book a Calendly chat with me, right? And I can help you out with your next tour package. So whatever you want to sell, or if it's like a product, after they get the guide, you can say like, here's a follow-up email. Do you know that we also sell these things? Bye, 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 bye.
Yeah, and that pretty much wraps it up for, oh, no, sorry, closing tips. I forgot. These are very important, actually. How can I forget this? ABT, always be testing. So whenever you have a landing page, always be split testing something. Always be running a test of something, because you can always improve a landing page. You can always improve your click-through rate. You can always improve your conversion rate. These are things you should always be doing. There is never a good time to sit and rest on your laurels. If you think your landing page is great and you haven't been able to improve it, like RJ said, step back, then work on your email that gets people to the landing page. Maybe the subject headline, maybe the content. Just in marketing and in business in general, you always need to be improving what you have. Consider the goals of your landing pages and where people are in your marketing funnel when you build them. So again, this is going back to that part about like, do you sell a high ticket item? Are you selling a $10,000 world tour that people need to spend a lot of time thinking about? And how is your landing page going to nurture that and get people down there? Versus, are you selling, a clip for your shoes when you travel on your backpack and people can buy it in 3 seconds? Finally, spend some time with the website builder tool that you decide to use, the landing page builder tool that you decide to use, because you can have a lot of fun with these templates and designs. There is very little roof on what you can do with them. There's a lot of flexibility. You can do a lot of stuff with them. So play around with them, see what you like. And also, if you want to make advanced changes, especially in the MailChimp one, they do have an HTML editor. It is a little bit clunky because once you make HTML edits, you have to, that's it. You can't go back to the builder. So a little bit clunky with that. But if you have one last thing you want to change, you can pretty much change everything, but it takes a little bit of coding skills. So just play around with it and do whatever you like with it. See how you can make it your own. And that also leads to making some really cool landing pages. And yeah, thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions for me or RJ? Also, I think, Christina, you're going to come back and join us again.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, I also saw some questions in the comments, so I'll answer those, but I'll let Christina do her little ending thing.
Yeah, well, I had a question. Why is click here the worst thing you can put in a call to action? I'm surprised.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I have
I'm
a lot
always
of
clicking on the click here.
And it's because as a consumer, it doesn't give enough information on what you're doing. Like, there's so many better words to use. Like, for example, think about what happens after the click here. And I would open with that, right? So if the click here is to, get a resource, then, you can say something like, get this book or access this resource, which is way better than click here. It gives a more informed decision for a consumer to click. If it's like, a calendar event, like you can say either view event or book or schedule this event. Like, there's so many other words that are better than click here. So that's point one, is that like for the user, it's more transparent about where they're going. But my second point is, especially if it's online and on a website, it's less it's somewhat important also for ads in a different way. But from a website standpoint, it's also good SEO, because Google considers calls to actions as a separate entity to look into for searchability.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you, for example, right, like have one that's dedicated to a particular location. So say it's like, that Thailand tour PDF. Click here is not going to tell Google what that call to action is about or where it's going, right? But if you say view Thailand package, then the keyword Thailand is there, and it makes it a little bit easier for Google to understand what your website is about, making it a little bit better for your chances to appear on page one. And the third thing is, when you are doing advertising, the call to action that you choose, because there will be buttons, right? And like one of them will be click here, but there's like an option typically when you're running ads. The call to action that you choose will affect your pay per click. So if you choose just a general click here, you might actually be paying more, because the ad platform has to try harder to figure out the right target audience and to figure out what the message of your ad is about. Whereas if you guide it better with a specific call to action, you actually could save on cost per click.
Great.
So that
Okay.
is why I hate click here.
That's excellent. Awesome. Okay, we've got a question from Casey in Toronto. He's trying to figure out what is a good number of emails to aim for.
In terms of like if you're going to create a flow, so that all depends on really industry stuff, even like the day and time. So I've got a couple case studies. So if you're, for example, like an e-commerce site selling clothes, right? Or maybe like you're selling travel guides, then typically the rotation would be based on like key travel points or like when people would be thinking about travel. So you would be like maybe more frequent emails like come winter to get people to prepare for like, summer travel, or in fall to be able to be like, if you're in Canada, for example, because we love not being here in the wintertime, like I would like expect that a lot of tourist agencies would be sending me like emails about going somewhere warm in winter, right? At prime time. So maybe starting November, right? And then the frequency of that is really all dependent on your open rates. So you could create a drip campaign, and really, we didn't have time to talk about this, but you can create rules, right? So I could send out 10 emails a month, but like a person could only receive either one or all 10 based on how often they click my emails. So in your drip campaign and workflow rules, you can say, if the people open this email that I sent out, like this first email, then send this email a week later. If they didn't, skip this email and send the email I'm going to send 2 weeks from now. So really what the right answer to this question is two things. One is you have to play. So create a bunch of email templates where you want to go through that messaging along the funnel, and then play around with the frequency, but also do what you think would be the number, then create that flow, and then like see how many people are opening in sequence. So like you want to create those workflow rules to say like only send this next email if they opened it. Otherwise, like maybe send them one email a month. So if you want like a general guideline on good tips, one email a week is great. And then only the people that are actually opening your email should be seeing one email a week. Otherwise, make it once a month, because that is time-wise easier for you to do, so you can manage that frequency. And two, like the effort that you're doing in the once a week emails, like the only ones that are seeing the four are the ones that are actually more engaged. So that's my general guideline. But when we do drip campaigns, it can be anywhere from just planning it like month to month, like we do for this one client where we're doing webinars right now. Or with Amex, I did like 256 emails 1 year in advance because I already knew what the offers were going to be, and like I had that drip flow. So it all really depends on how big your company is, what your services are, and your capacity time wise, right?
And you mentioned a good point about engagement. Not everybody is sort of engaged at the same level and at the same level of the funnel. So is that where segmentation comes in? Do you think you should think about segmentation first before you start sending emails?
Yeah, exactly. So for example, going into like the timing of emails, right? So I taught a former student who now works um, at Scene, which is a subsidiary of Cineplex, right? So typically, when we talk about email marketing, we always say never send emails on a Friday, right? All her emails are Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday and Sunday, because what do you think about going to the movies? And then they also send one on Monday because of, I don't know if it's the same for everybody globally, but like we have cheap movie Tuesdays typically. So Tuesday is the cheapest day to buy a ticket. You're typically saving like a $2 to $3. So a lot of people go to the movies on Tuesday. So like the Monday email is about that, discount that you can get for Tuesday. And then Friday emails are like, here's what you can do this evening, right? Like go to the movies. I mean, not anymore, but like, so for her, it's actually the opposite of what we talk about when we're like, the best emails are between Tuesday to, Thursday in the afternoon. But like, you really just have to think about your audience, right? Because again, it's marketing. It's the right message to the right people at the right time. So to get started with some of this stuff, actually, like one thing Milosh and I would do is and again, we didn't have time to talk about this, but we'd play with Facebook audience insights because it's free and I can see the activities of standard audience sizes. And typically, because Facebook is so big and everybody uses Facebook, even with these boycotts happening right now, which is like a whole webinar I can do. Even with these, the Facebook activity that it tracks, like you have to remember, Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp, so all of those activities are traceable, including the stuff that people pay attention to in the marketing side, like when people are on these platforms. So typically, when people are on Facebook, we can use Facebook audience insights and run like just an awareness level ad to see when people are seeing our ads, and maybe send emails out at that time as our starting point. Because that, like, I think it's a whole lecture that I give often when I'm working with clients for the first time getting into online advertising. But I don't look at paying for ads as just like I'm paying for these ads to get sales. Like, one of the things that people forget is that what you could also be paying for, and actually it's a very expensive thing if you did it any other way, is data, right? Like, sometimes I run ads and spend money, and like I'll spend like $500 just to see it so that I can get data, like what audiences were working, what audiences weren't working, when did they see my ad, because that's what I know, that's when they're on Facebook, and I know that's when they're on Instagram. And people say, oh, like your ads got bad results because no one bought anything. It's like, well, that's not the purpose that I'm running these ads for. I'm buying marketing insights, right? Like, that's the cost, because otherwise who would I go to? Instead of like running a real world ad, I would run and go into like a data marketing firm, and those are like 10K to start, right? And I can get that data on Facebook and Instagram for $500, $100, like $10 a day, right? So it's something to think about when you're starting to run ads.
Okay, awesome. I think we're just about done now. If anybody has any further questions, we've got one here. Okay, from Herika, what are your best suggestions before this stage, how to attract an audience through social? For example, and convert to mailing list?
Can you reword that question or just say it again?
Yeah, I think she's.
I think she means like prior to sending people to the landing page, how do you convert a social audience into an email marketing audience? Is that kind of the gist of it?
I think so. Herika, just maybe you can clarify what you're looking for. I guess before the stage of getting your emailing list.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah. How to attract your audience in the first place and get them to opt in? I think that's what she may be asking.
Oh, there's a lot of different ways to answer that question, but the first approach is to think about your user persona. Like, who are you selling this thing to, and where do you think they participate? Because that is where I would start. So, for example, if I'm doing this, right? Like, if I'm like a tour operator or something like that, maybe I would want to run Facebook ads just to test it, or search ads just to test it. If I don't have advertising budget or advertising dollars, maybe I just want to start doing blog posts on Medium. And then at the end of every Medium blog post that I do, I'll like put that link to a landing page. Right. So it just depends on where you go. But in general, when you're working with getting people to go on that landing page, the first step is really to think about who this person is and where they participate, so that you can put all of those answers there.
Yeah.
And is there like a good place to have this opt-in to begin with? Like on your website, is there like optimal place?
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
Where would you suggest?
There are some actionable tips that I think, like, even without any additional marketing effort, you can do right now. And one thing I always notice is when I go to like branded sites or like independent sites where people are creating like an Instagram account, and it's like an Instagram for business, and there's like the call to action that they have for the website. Like, typically I always see on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter that the main website that they put in is their website, like their home page. But I think that's a bad idea, because think about it, right? This is a social platform that they converted to. So you have a marketing avenue here to make those call to actions the landing page, right? So like, for example, what is more purposeful? If you put in your Instagram profile, like your next like booking tour date versus your homepage, right? Because like at the end of the day, all of the awareness is going to happen because you're posting on Instagram and you're doing Instagram stories and you'll appear, because of the Instagram algorithms help. Same thing with Facebook, right? But like at the end of the day, and like in Twitter as well, that call to action is like a line that you can always edit. Like, you don't, once you put in your homepage, it's not like you can't like remove it, right? You can always put your homepage back if you don't have a current sale running or if you don't have a current marketing goal. But if you have a marketing goal, your calls to actions, especially if you have a landing page, should be that versus your homepage.
So it's being more, you kind of have to guide them to like exactly where you want to go. Because if you send them to a generic website or URL, then they've got so many options and so much choice, but you kind of want to narrow that down for them and tell them this is where I want you to go, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like tools out there that kind of customize the look of that URL so it doesn't look like, like a bunch of random strings, right? You can Bitly it and actually Bitly will track it. You can even use like a Google link shortener. Like there's so many ways to make it look succinct. And you can even, like if you're using Bitly, for example, like even in the free version, you can change what happens after the slash, right? So you can make the words even like my most recent tour or whatever. And you can always edit it. So I keep that in mind too.
Awesome. Casey says he has opt-ins on his website as a toolbar and in his email signature. So I guess that works for him.
Yeah, exactly. So like email signatures are also a great line, like line where you can put a call to action in, right? Like see my most recent tours, or have you like, so a lot of people who are authors, so we've worked with a couple authors where we've launched some of their stuff in Grilled Cheese Affairs, and typically in the email signature, like the link that's there is, have you seen my book? Like this is my most recent book. And the actual like email link is like an Amazon 10% discount. So that like, if they click that, it's not that they just bought it straight up. There's like even a discount involved.
That's actually a great point to give them something, give them an offer, right? A quick discount offer, something that they can get right away. Give them value for what they're opting in for.
Yeah, and on that note, actually, I should have mentioned this earlier, but like if you're gonna put the same landing page on different platforms, so like one link on Twitter, one link on your Instagram page, and one link in your email signature, you definitely want to track it. Yeah. So like you want to know, you don't want to put the same link everywhere. This is why we use things like Bitly, because I can make it so that my Bitly links will be separate for each one.
Okay, good tips. All good insight. Thanks, guys. We're just running out of time. If anybody has any other questions, maybe they could reach out to you directly. How can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
I don't know if you noticed, but our emails are scrolling at the bottom.
Yeah.
Shoot me your Milosh an email, and we'll take it from there. Yeah. Also, soon after this, Milosh is going to send the PDF to Christina. So if you guys want the deck, you guys can just, maybe we'll blast it out to everyone who attended.
Shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the live chat, and then I can send that out to anybody that's interested.
Cool.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for being here, guys, and for having us, and for sharing all your tips and your knowledge.
Woohoo! Yeah, it's good to be back. I was looking forward to doing this again, like, because we had talked in the winter time about it, right? But like, it's just sucky that we can't do it in person.
Yeah, hopefully soon. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Fingers crossed. I'm watching the stats like every day, especially in Toronto, because now that patios are open, I'm like, will we spike?
We're almost there. Thanks again, guys. Thanks to everyone for tuning in today. We'll see you next time. Bye.